Hi everyone, Amy from Mrs. Amy123 here, and today I'm going to take you through some ideas on how to use PowerPoint to create your own resources. So this is the first time that I've done screen sharing like this, so hopefully it all works out. I am on my laptop. I'm a laptop girl. I hate being locked to one location when I'm doing things, so I am on my laptop, which means that when I type and when I click sometimes, you're going to hear a little bit of extra background noise. Hopefully we can both handle that. So let's get started. I am working in the most up-to-date version of PowerPoint. So if you're on a school laptop and you're stuck back in 2010, some of the things might look a little bit different, but you still should be able to do most of the stuff that I'm going to show you here today. It will just look a bit different, so you might have to mess around a little bit more to find where some of these options are. So up on the screen now, you should be able to see my Term 1 Year 1 planner, which is what you would have gotten if you signed up a couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago for these, and you can still sign up if you haven't got them yet. But when you downloaded them to your computer, you would have noticed that they were in PowerPoint, and a lot of people were thinking that was a little bit weird, but I create everything in PowerPoint. I started doing PowerPoint a couple of years ago and I have not looked back. It is just amazing. It has so many more options than Word does. There are some things that you can't do in PowerPoint that you can in Word, and that can be a little bit frustrating sometimes, but once you get used to it, PowerPoint is better. So I thought first of all I'd start off just showing you some different ways that you can edit this planner. So let's say you don't want one of these columns. So you go, no, I've got my own phonics program in the classroom. That's on a separate planner. I don't need this column. So what you can do here is I've just clicked, dragged, and highlighted, and I can go up the top here to layout and just go to delete and just delete that whole column. Okay, boom, it's gone. If I want to make this wider, I can just click and drag, just the same as you would in Word. There's nothing different in that. If you want to add an extra column, you can just go up here and go insert left or right, and it will shove it over so it's still all fitting on one page. Up the top here, you'll notice that I've got my rainbow. I love rainbows, but maybe that doesn't work for you and you want a different theme. So all you have to do here is click in the section that you want, come up here to design, and here's our shading box right here. So let's say we want a green theme with, let's go yellow and green. So I can just click inside the box. I don't need to highlight. I can just click and change the colors of them there. Okay. So just like in Word, you can change the font. If you don't like that, just go up to Home, pick a different font that pleases you. And we can also go up here and make the writing bigger or smaller. I love these buttons up here. I rarely ever use the drop down for fonts anymore. For font text type size, I just use the up and down button until I'm happy with the font that I've got. And just like in Word, you can center it, you can align it to the right, or you can align it left by using these buttons up here. You can also change the color, everything just the same as Word. You can bold it, you can underline it, all that jazz. Okay, so you'll notice that when you start typing sometimes, let's put something in this box, it starts to disappear. And that's a feature of PowerPoint in that nothing else is going to move when you move something else. So in Word, when you're typing, it's going to go down to the next page. PowerPoint doesn't have that because it's slides. Slides don't run on into each other. So if you have something like this happen, you have to move other things around to make it fit. So that can be a bit of a draw card here. That's one of the reasons why I've kept most of these to one word or just a couple of words, because I don't want to let that run on past another page. So then you've got to do a bit of tweaking and maybe delete some words or make the font smaller to be able to fit all of that back onto one page. If it does stick off the page like this is down here and you go to print that, it's going to cut it off where that page ends. The rest will not print. Again, it's not like Word. It's not going to just keep printing those for you. Okay, if you wanted to do, so I've got another table here. If you wanted to add another table in because there's something else you want to add in here, then to add tables, first of all, let's add a new page because that's just going to get messy with all the stuff we have on the screen. So just like usual, go up, new slide, blank, and then we can add a table. So I'm going to come up the top here and click on insert. I hope it's easy enough for you guys to see my mouse. I was thinking of doing one of those things where you can make it glow bright yellow, but unfortunately my day just got away from me and I haven't been able to investigate that yet. So up here, insert, and we're going to go to table. Just like in Word, you're going to decide how big you want your table. But unlike Word, you notice that it will come up weird colors. So it's already put a style on it for you. I always like to go back to a basic table. So I'll go up to shading again and click on white for a white background. And then that gets rid of all of my, my lines. So I need to put my lines back in. To do that, you come up here to borders and you click the one that says all borders, and that's put them all back. Now for worksheets and things, when I'm printing them off, I really like a thicker size line. So to do that, you go up here where it says point. It says 1 point at the moment, and I drop it down to a 3. That's usually my standard size. And you have to come back over here to the borders button to apply that. Okay, so now we've got this table. However, the formatting is still on it. So we've got rid of the color, but the bold is still there and it's still going to be white text for the heading. So I have to go up here and I have to do black text. And if I don't want bold, I need to come back over to home and back down here and turn bold off. I like to leave bold on for headers, and now I can just write in there whatever I want. It's just a typical table, and I can, just like in Word, you can drag it around, but you can drag it around so much more easily. It's not going to, you know how sometimes you start to drag a table and just half of it just disappears off the face of the earth and you can never get it back again? PowerPoint's not going to do that. So move it to wherever you want. You can resize the whole thing. You can resize individual lines. Okay, so that's tables, and that's what I use for my planning. My weekly planners that I do, sometimes I do them in PowerPoint. I've gone back to Word. I think last year I went back to Word for a while, but I was in PowerPoint for my timetables for a little while when I could keep it to 2 pages and make sure that it wasn't going to keep running on. Okay, so let's get out of this. No, I don't want to save that, and come back into this one here. So when you open PowerPoint the very first time and it's a new presentation, it's going to be the size of a normal PowerPoint slide, which is not the size of an A4 piece of paper. So the most important tip I can give you for using PowerPoint to make your own resources is by going up to the top here and clicking on Design, coming over to this button here, Slide Size, and coming down and clicking Custom Slide Size. And then here where it says Widescreen, we want to make it A4 paper. We don't need to change any of these numbers here, but you might like to look at this one here and decide whether you want portrait or landscape. So in this case, I want portrait, and I'm going to click OK. Now this pops up. This thing here is not a problem if you have nothing on your screen already because your page is blank. But basically what it's saying here is if you do have stuff on your screen like I do in the background here now, if I click maximize, it's going to keep the things in the background as big as possible, and some of that's going to fall off the page. If I click ensure fit, this is going to remain on the page, but it will probably go smaller depending on what the previous page size was that you were going from. So in this case, I'll just show you, if I click maximize, it's gone really big and it's gone off the page. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of these so I can show you some things. Actually, you know what? I might go through that one more time with you to tell you change the slide size, just if you couldn't follow it before. So I go up the top here to Design tab. I come across to Slide Size. I come down the bottom to Custom Slide Size. And then I come up to this drop-down menu and click A4. And you can also see A3 is there, so you can use that if you like to as well. I don't ever make anything in A3. I prefer to just enlarge it when I'm printing to A3. And again, portrait or landscape is up to you. Click OK, and then boom, we have our sheet. Now PowerPoint, when you want to start typing, the text box isn't automatically there like it is in Word. So in Word, you can just open it up, start typing. You can't do that in PowerPoint. You have to insert text boxes. That can sound a bit intimidating at first, but you get used to it and it doesn't bug you as much. So we go up here to insert and we come across to text box. The first text box I usually add when I'm making a worksheet is name, which of course is the one that most students forget 99% of the time. Okay, so I've just typed in there, I've got my text box. You might know that when you add text boxes in Word, they automatically put a border around it and a white background. PowerPoint doesn't do this, doesn't do that. It doesn't have a white background and it doesn't have a text box around it. The other thing, and this is the biggest reason why I love PowerPoint for creating worksheets and resources, is that I can move this right up the top. On Word, you can't put things that high, it snaps back, it does weird things. You could add a header and a footer, but that never gets that real top piece of the paper. So by putting that right up there, I can make the most use of the most amount of paper. So from there, I usually just copy and paste to get more text boxes rather than going insert, insert, rah, rah, rah. So I'm just going to go Celt, copy, and Celt paste on my keyboard. And then I'll turn this one into my title. So I might be making a worksheet on, let's say, place stuff. Sorry if the noises of the typing is bugging you guys. It's not as loud for me. It's just because you guys need the microphone of the laptop. So again, I'm going to come up the top here and I can play around with my font. My favorite font is this one. There's lots of free sites you can actually get fonts from on the internet that you can use for your own personal usage. And yeah, there's a couple on TPT as well. You can go and download for free and use for your own use, and just makes your worksheets look a little bit better. I'm going to go up here, and again, I'm just going to use this arrow up here to make my font bigger until I'm happy with it. And then with PowerPoint, they have this natural alignment. So you see that red line that's coming up down the middle of my page? That's telling me that that's in the center of the page. So I'm just holding that at the moment. I clicked it and I dragged it into place, but I'm still holding it just to see where that line is. So that makes it really, really easy to center things, because you can't use the center buttons up here to center it to the page. So if I was to click center up here, it just centers it in the text box. It doesn't center it to the page. Again, I'm just going to paste another box. Now this is going to be my main text box. So let's say I'm writing instructions. So students, not that you'd start a worksheet with students, but students need to identify Now, as you're writing, can you see how that text box is going along with me? So if I keep writing, and I'm sorry, I've got a million things on my head, so I can't actually think of a good teacher instruction to write, so I'm just going to write anything at the moment. But let's say I keep writing and it's going off the page. In PowerPoint, because you're using text boxes, you need to resize the text box. So I'm going to click and drag here to bring it into where I want it to stay. Once I've done that, I can keep typing again, but it's going to lock that in place. It's not going to keep writing off to the side. So now this is, if I was writing in Word, it's just going to keep going down until it reaches the end of the page. Okay, so that's a text box for writing in. Let's go to inserting some shapes or some backgrounds. So let's say I want a border and I just want a really simple rectangular border. I can click up here on it and I can click and drag my shape. It's not going to be like Word. It's not going to go down to a new page and wreck everything you've just done. It's going to go straight over the top. So what I need to do now, if I just want that to be a border, I might say, well, no fill. I don't want anything on the inside, but I do want it to be a nice thick line. Again, 3 is just my favorite for showing up really well from the photocopier. And I might do some dots. So that's just a really, really simple, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. That's just a really, really simple way of adding a border to your worksheet if that's what you want. If you guys are a fan of my work, you'll know that I don't use borders too often on my worksheets because I like to try and use up as much space as I can. So then let's say that you didn't want one of these borders and you wanted more of a stylized border. There's not the option like there is in Word to go and get the pencil borders and the style borders. You don't have them, but you can go and either make your own or download some off the internet to put in as backgrounds. So you would just go to Google and type in something like worksheet borders or something similar to that, and then you'd save that to your computer, you'd come back in here and you would right click, format background. That's going to pop up with this side bit here, and then I can click picture and I can load that from somewhere else. So let's see what kind of backgrounds I've got at the moment. I don't have many normal looking borders because I don't use them very often, but let's say this is one you've got off the internet and boom, it's inserted that. Now that's a background, so I can't click here and move it. So all of this stuff will need to move down to make way for that border. Okay, so that's your basic worksheet when you're doing it. Another great thing about PowerPoint is if you really like this worksheet, but you want to use it again, but like slightly different, maybe it's another term and you want the same worksheet, you want to do different numbers or harder numbers, then what you can do is you can come over to your slide menu here and you can right click and click duplicate. And what that's done is that's given me two of the same page. So now I can click on the second one and make any little tiny changes I want, and boom, I've got two of them. It's not like Word where you have to literally make a new document to just edit a few things because it's so hard to copy and paste in Word. Yeah, that's a really, really easy way of doing it. Okay, so let's go for a new blank slide, and let's say you want to make a poster for your classroom. Okay, so we can come in here, we can right click, go format background again, and we might add a more of a fill colorful background. So let's go in here. I really love the bursts at the moment, so let's go purple, because if you haven't guessed, purple is my favorite color. Big surprise there. And then we've got a pretty background there that we can print off. Again, you can buy backgrounds on the internet, or you can just go to Google, search for backgrounds and find something on images that you like and insert that yourself. And obviously if we go over here, you've also got solid backgrounds that you can do, and you've got gradient fill backgrounds. The gradient fill backgrounds aren't as good as they used to be. I remember when I was in high school, they'd have like the sunset and the rainbow ones. They don't have them preset anymore. They're kind of like ombre backgrounds now that are preset, but you can make your own. That's not that difficult. So once I've added my background in, what kind of things should we make? Let's make a poster for the alphabet, okay? So I might come in here, I've just gone up to shapes and I've selected rectangle. Oops, I've unselected that now. And I'm just going to add a rectangle in. And so what we can do with that rectangle is we can add a color to it. Let's say I want purple. That's too dark for me, so I'm going to come back up the top here, more fill colors, and I can lighten this up so it's much better. I can add a nice, let's go white, a nice white border there. I'm going to make it really thick to make it stand out. Just going to even that up a little bit more. See these red lines that have popped up? That's telling me it's centered vertically and centered horizontally. So that's all in there now. I'm liking that. Oops. Sorry guys, I'm using a mouse to try and lower down the sound of my clicking, but I'm not used to using the mouse. I'm used to using my mouse pad on the laptop. So now let's insert some words. There is still word art in here, just like in PowerPoint, so you can go there if you want something stylized, or you can just go to a text box. I'm just going to go text box for now. If I click on this rectangle that I added earlier, that's going to turn that rectangle into a text box, and I don't want to do that. I want my writing so I can still move it around and make it into a heading. So I'm going to click off the page and I'm going to write my heading. So let's say that this is the letter A that we're doing. Now, when you're changing fonts and sizes, you can do like you do in Word and just highlight and then go up, or you can click on the outside of your text box and that's got that whole thing selected now, and now I can go up and edit it. Let's make a font. No, it's boring. Let's go anything else. And again, we can make it really big. Okay, there's my letter. Now that doesn't really stand out very much. So what you can do is you can go up the top here and go to format, and you might, here's our text feature options over here. So again, I can add a clipart effect to it or a word art effect to it. Or I can come over here, I could add a white outline if I want to. Something that's really in style at the moment and a lot of people are doing is you can come down here to text features. You can add things like shadows, but my favorite at the moment is adding a glow. So I come down here and I really love adding a white glow. I think that really makes things pop. So I just went text, effects, glow, come down the bottom to make my own color, and I've just added white. So that really pops there. If you're doing this for foundation, you'd probably, if you're doing this for little kids, you probably want something that's more my school. So there's our A. I can add the little A next to it, and then boom, we're done. Adding clipart is ridiculously easy in PowerPoint. All you have to do is open up your files, find where your clipart is. Sorry, my files are a bit of a mess at the moment, but let's say I want an Australian animal in here. Well, actually, it's an A poster, isn't it? So we should probably get something that starts with A. That would help, wouldn't it? Let's go back. Oops, not that one. Let's get an ant in here. So, ant starts with A. There we go. We've added it to our poster. And you can see here that I'm resizing it just like you would in Word, except I don't have to mess around with text wrapping boxes. So you know that little picture of the dog and it's got the text either next to it, on top of it, behind it? You don't need to worry about that stupid button in PowerPoint. You just add your clipart and you just move it around wherever you want it to go. So I can put it here. What else can I show you in PowerPoint? How about I do a really quick one on just how you can make your own clipart, because that's always fun. So I'm going to go, I've added a new slide, so it was just new slide, and I clicked on the blank one. If you add one of these templates here, it just means you're going to have text boxes already in there, and I don't like messing around with them. Believe it or not, I make all of my clipart in PowerPoint. It's taken me a while to get, I don't want to say as good as I am, because I'm really not that good at making clipart, but it took me a while to master it. But there are some basics that you can learn when you're doing clipart. So let's say you want to make a jar. So you're doing a probability activity, you want some marbles in a jar so the kids can comment on picking the chances of picking each one out. So let's make a jar. Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get the cylinder right here, and that's going to be my jar lid. Okay, nice and easy. Again, you know, you can make it white or grey, change the color of it. When I do shape outlines for my clipart, I always love to do size 3. That's it. Again, it's just my go-to. I think it looks nice. And we're going to make that black. There's the first part of my jar. So then I'll come back here and let's look for a shape that's kind of like a jar shape. What's the closest we can get? I think I might go with this one. It's just got the rounded edges to it. So I just click and drag it where I want to go. Let's just bring that in a little bit there. Okay, now do you see how the red line is popping up again? That's telling me that my two objects are centered, okay? Then I'm going to want to bring this forward because it's gone behind my new shape. So whenever you add something new, if you think of it as layers, so you're layering clothes, you know, this was my socks and now I've added shoes. So in this case, I want this to come forward. So I'm going to come up here and just click bring forward. It's under the formatting tab. And whenever you click on a shape in PowerPoint, it's going to automatically bring up this tab. So I brought that forward, but I still want to come, oops, sorry, don't know what happened there. Click on this and I still want to make the background. Let's do white. I'm going to do a black outline, size 3 font. There's my jar. Now, if I'm going to move this, it's going to move separately. It's not going to move together. So what I want to do is I want to click near my object, but higher than it and wider than it. And I want to drag my mouse over the whole thing. So you see that gray area there? That's me dragging over the whole thing. And that's going to select everything that's in there. So now I've got 2 boxes selected and I can move that around together. Let's say that I want a few of these and I'm going to have to move them around a lot. You can group these together. So you right click once you've selected both of them, click group, and then group again. Now these are locked together as one and I can move them around as one. I can still double click if I want to move something and go, oh, I really want that one to have a taller lid. I can do that. If you want to save this, you can use it again in other things. You just right click, save picture as, and that's just going to save it. Just like when I had the ant before, that had been saved like this one had. So again, I can just go copy and paste if I want lots of jars. Let's line them up. Did you see the red lines appearing at the bottom and the top? That means those 2 pictures are aligned together. So let's copy and paste them and let's put in some more. Again, I've got the red lines down the side telling me that those are spaced the same distance apart as the top ones. And then boom, there are my jars. Now you'll notice that they're not centered, so I can click and drag, highlight the whole thing and move them over until I think that's right. There we go, there's our jars that we've added. Okay, so unfortunately, because I'm screen sharing, I can't actually see any questions or any comments. I don't know if anyone's been writing any, but I can't see them at the moment. So I think that's a pretty good intro tutorial to using PowerPoint. Definitely get PowerPoint out as soon as you can, open it up and give some of these things a try, because sometimes it can seem really confronting to learn a new skill, but the best thing you can do for yourself is to practice it, and practice it as soon as you can, because while it's fresh in your head, that's the best time to do it. So go and open up a new file of PowerPoint, blank presentation. The first thing you need to do is change the slide size. So go design, slides, custom slide, go to A4, decide whether you want portrait or landscape. This doesn't matter if it's a blank page, and then boom, you're here. Start creating. Add some text boxes, add some clip art. So if you do have any questions, pop them down below and I'll try and come back and answer them at some stage. Thanks, guys.